Welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain-Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy. Once again, I've brought a panel of folks to visit with us today about collaboration. And I would love to introduce you now to my co-host, Joey Torres. Joey and I serve together in an organization called People for People, where we help individuals and communities to thrive. Joey is his company, he's the CEO of his company, Comanche Comanche Group, and they offer world-class accounting to drive solid business decisions for increased cash flow. And gentlemen, I have to tell you both, in your bios, you both mention a word that is just near and dear to my heart, and that's cash flow. So, I'm the profit doctor. I'm all about exponential cash flow. And so it's great to see others focused on that as well. Joey, welcome to the show. Thanks for being our co-host today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Regina. It is our pleasure to be here today to talk about
Awesome.
a topic that is so critical, to our field, to the financial accounting, tax planning, strategic growth field. Um, well, I started my education at the University of Texas at El Paso. I got my accounting degree, and from there, I worked in the corporate world for a while, and pretty much hit the ground running and serving clients in the manufacturing, construction, plumbing, uh, you name it. Served all sorts of industries in the bookkeeping, tax, accounting, financial reporting sector. And also facing, personal tax returns, complex, business tax returns. And so my breadth of knowledge has extended and grown and flowered in, and now we are hitting a niche, which is the cannabis industry. um, the cannabis industry is unique to where the entries to barrier are so much higher than your typical business. You are talking about people that are already coming in with multiple entities, are pre-capitalized and have 5-year forecasts, that want to open different verticals, from a dispensary to retail to distribution. And so there is a big gap in that industry, especially on the tax side of the 280E. It is just absolutely complex, for all of these cannabis owners, CBD, hemp, and especially now where all the states where now it's legal, it's just an exponential market, a lot of fun. You meet all sorts of great people, and that is who we serve today. um, and so, yeah, that's pretty much our journey, who we are. The inspiration came from, obviously, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Um, I don't think any of the men in my family growing up, like all my uncles, my dad, none of them worked a W-2 job. They all were entrepreneurs. They all had their own construction company. They all had something.
Right.
And I really saw how the gaps in their finances, their accounting, their tax preparation, how all that really held them back, especially when they were at their most productive and selling the most.
Right.
Whatever service they were doing. And so now I come to these entrepreneurs today and offer the same help so that they can have more revenue, peace of mind, and overall better corporate governance for themselves and their families.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joey. And again, I really appreciate you being our co host today. And you brought someone with you. Would you please introduce our guest and have him tell a bit about his journey, who he serves, and why?
Yes, this is a very good colleague of mine. We met on the Dope CFO program. Big shout out to Andrew Hunziker and that whole entire crew down there. They do a great job of educating CFOs like Andrew and myself. Andrew has his own firm, and I will let him tell you all about that.
Yeah,
Andrew, are
my
you with us?
journey is a yep. I am
Okay,
here.
good. Okay, great.
Uh, my journey is a little different from Joey's because most everybody in my family worked regular W-2 jobs, except for one of my uncles, and we won't talk about him much. My when I started in college, I was majoring in ag engineering and forestry. And you're wondering, okay, how did you get into the finance world? Well, I planned on moving from Kansas to North Carolina, finishing my degree at NC State. And one thing led to another. And I decided, well, I'm going to go to a community college for a year, take some classes that'll transfer. I took some accounting classes, liked them, got married instead. I ended up in the finance world, which in retrospect was a good plan because I was going to major in pulp and paper science with my forestry degree, which would not have been a good career choice. So I have a 2-year degree in accounting. I have a bachelor's degree in business and a master's degree in business also. I am a CPA here in North Carolina, have been since 1992. I'm very proud of that fact, but I very quickly tell people I do not do taxes. I know plenty about taxes and tax strategy, but I do not prepare tax returns. I have been working as a fractional CFO since 2012, first with a national consulting firm and on my own since 2019. I recently discovered the DOPE CFO program because I had been thinking about learning more and possibly getting into the cannabis industry anyway, and realized when I met Andrew that he and I were both partners in the same national consulting firm together. And we were there for about a year or so together, I think. So I decided that this was what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm doing right now is planning to get my clients up and running in cannabis. As I've told Joey before, I have other clients too. My background is primarily in 2 disciplines, manufacturing and distribution, and believe it or not, nonprofit.
Very good. Excellent. And Joey, your firm also serves other industries as well, right? Comanche is not strictly limited to the cannabis industry, but you serve others as well, correct?
Yes, we still have clients in construction, manufacturing, plumbing, but we are focusing in now on the cannabis industry.
On the cannabis industry. Something you said, I think, is a perfect kickoff for our conversation, Joey. You talked about the entrepreneurial firms struggling, right? And how you came from that entrepreneurial background, but the gaps in that needed to be filled by others. And I think that's a great jumping off place for us in talking about how, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, who do we need to collaborate with, and how do we go about that to fulfill all of those things that need to happen in a business? Because no one knows everything, right? We don't know it all. We need help. We need to interact with others. We need to contract with others, have those relationships that allow us to be more successful in our business, because we don't have those, as you mentioned, Joey, the holes, especially when sales are good. There's so many other balls that are being dropped, right? So let's talk about that, gentlemen, shall we? How does one go about figuring out, first of all, what they need, and then who to collaborate with to get that? What does that process look like?
Oh yeah, obviously every situation is going to be different because every single client has a different need, has different holes, and has different situations. And so who you really need to collaborate with are other experts. I would consider everybody on this panel an expert, but not just one person has the whole answer. And so that's why expertise integration is very important for, business owners like us, because the big benefit is specialized knowledge. Whether it's a cannabis business or any other business, they face unique regulatory, financial, and operational challenges. And collaborating with experts, such as accountants, such as lawyers, tax professionals, and other compliance ensures that all aspects are, covered comprehensively. And then the client gets the biggest benefit, because now they're not just getting one expert that just knows how to solve one problem, but they're getting a holistic solution.
Right. Thank you. Andrew, your thoughts on that?
Well, the old saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
There are a lot of holes in people's businesses, and you will from time to time run across somebody that thinks they know it all. They don't need any help with this or that or something else. But there's two things that I like to tell clients. Okay, if you're struggling with your revenue and it's stagnant or dropping, we need to fix that. But a lot of businesses think even when business is really good and sales are growing quickly, that's not a problem. That can be a problem too. But making sure that companies have the discipline to put the procedures in place and processes they need to make sure that the business continues to hum along and be successful, whatever that definition is, and also generate enough cash flow to help the owner meet their needs is critical, which is where I think Joey and I come in, focusing on the cash flow, because it's like I tell businesses, you don't pay your bills with net profit. You pay your bills with your cash flow, because you got to have the cash in the bank to pay your bills. It's not the same thing as net profit.
True. Very true. So I know that the two of you belong to a collaborative group, right? What is the benefit to, whether it's accountants or any other, business owner, but from your perspective, what are the benefits collaboratively that you've gotten out of being a part of a group?
Absolutely. At Comanche, we really try to be as client centric, as possible. And part of being client centric is enhancing your service offerings. And so by collaborating, now my firm can offer a broader range of services, meeting the diverse needs of clients more effectively. And then not only that helps our brand, create more trust and credibility. Because a collaborative approach, I've always learned, builds trust and credibility with clients. As they see, us for leveraging comprehensive expertise, supporting, their success. So collaboration enhances the capabilities of, any firm, whether if it's your firm, whether if it's Andrew's firm, and enabling to provide more effective, compliant, and strategic and beneficial for clients.
Yeah, that makes sense. Andrew?
I think the nice thing about being part of a bigger organization is that we can reach out to have people help or do tasks that we don't do. For example, I said earlier, I don't do tax work. I've been a fractional CFO for years. I'm very comfortable in that field. I don't do tax works. But then on the other hand, my clients don't want to pay me the rate I have for doing bookkeeping either. So if we can collaborate with someone that can do the bookkeeping and someone else, in my case, that can do the tax work, then I can be doing all the strategic work in the middle to make sure that everything gets done. And I think by being able to collaborate, we just bring more value to our clients. So instead of us saying, no, we can't do that, I know somebody who can do that for you. I think that's a big value proposition.
I love that. And I love that you're referencing the value of it, because that's so important to bring that value. So how do you qualify those collaborative partners that you're going to bring on board to your clients? What's your process for making sure that you have shared values or shared standards or, whatever? Do you have any kind of a process that you utilize to qualify those partners?
Yeah, I think being part of a community long enough, word of mouth gets around. of course, doing due diligence, researching, doing your research of who offers the best and premier services, of who has been doing it for the longest time. So somebody that, that you mesh well with, that you work well with, is also very important. Doing an interview process. But I believe that, knowing the folks, building trust, being part of the same community, for having familiarity, really goes a long way. And then the program that we're in, we're Andrew Tucker and, Andrew, the owner of the program, all very well vetted, world-class providers. And we wouldn't be let into the program if we ourselves were not efficient and world-class. And so the cream always rises to the top. And that's pretty much the process, at least on Comanche's end, is just being really plugged into the client's community.
So in terms of, and I'll come back to you, Andrew, in just a moment, but I just want to ask a sub question here to Joey's. In terms of the group that you're in, though, it's all CFOs or accountants, that kind of thing, right? Or is it other industries as well? Or I mean, other areas as well? Or is it?
Well, it is tailored to the cannabis industry.
Okay.
And it's tailored to accountants, but the cannabis industry has so many verticals. It has many experts in manufacturing and growing, in HR, in compliance.
Right.
The community comes with it. And you're plugged right into the cannabis community, and that is, wherever you are, because Andrew are North Carolina, but we're reaching experts all over the country. We're reaching clients all over the country.
Now, do those people, those verticals, are they actually in that group that you're in, or you just have connections to them through the group?
Connections. Yeah. It's the connections. The connections to the
groups. Okay. So, Andrew, what are your thoughts on how you, or anything different at all, on how you qualify that collaborative partner?
Well, Joey stole the word I was going to use, and that was interview. Because I would have an interview with someone, make sure that I understood what their experience is, make sure that I have the ability to look at some of the work they've done, and if possible, check the references for people they've worked for. Because at the end of the day, if I'm going to tell a client, I've got somebody that can do that for you, I want that person to basically be an extension of me and provide the same type of service that I do. Because if they don't provide a good quality service like I do, it's going to come back as a bad reflection on me. So I want to make sure that they can do what they say they can do.
So in your interview that you're doing, Andrew, what are some of the areas that you're probing in that interview to make sure that this person's a fit?
Well, for example, if I'm talking to someone that can do tax returns, it's a tricky field for people in the cannabis industry. There are a lot of deductions they cannot take, and we want to make sure that they can focus on the ones they do take. So I want to make sure, if I'm talking to someone that can do the tax returns, that they have the experience and expertise in dealing with the IRS guidelines 280E that really restrict that. And if they're affiliated with the program, they already get that. But I want to make sure that they have a requisite level of experience, they understand, and I want to make sure that they can turn their work around quickly, and that they have a good way of communicating with their clients and customers, and not just automatically say, well, we're just going to file an extension for that. No, we need to get the work done. We don't need to do things like that.
Right.
So I want to make sure that they can really do the work. They've got the staff to do it, and they understand what needs to be done.
Excellent. How do values come into this? Not the value that we bring, but the values we live by. how does that come into the qualifying of your collaborative partners, or does it? Are shared values important, I guess, is another way of saying that? And if so, why?
Shared values are, important for several reasons. One, because it affects the kind of service that you're going to offer to the client, with the partner that you're collaborating with. It's going to affect the, potential for future bigger, better things down the line. And the way you can gauge, the values of anybody is, by word of mouth, is by, um, spending time, talking to them and knowing who they are
Mm-hmm.
and why they do what they do. Um, and it all dovetails because the more harmonious the working relationship is, the more harmonious the service is going to go, and the better the service, um, the better the work and the opportunities you're going to have, down the line.
Right. Andrew?
No, I think I agree with Joey on that. Shared values are critical, that we have some synergy between the people that are working together, to make sure that, if one of my shared values is getting the work done when I tell the client it's going to be done, then whoever I'm working with, I expect one of their values to be the same thing, getting the work done on time. So I think it's critical that we have shared values and that we communicate what those are so there won't be any missteps along the way.
Good. Do you do any kind of verification in that process, Andrew, when you're talking about deliverables and being able to deliver on time? Do you, like ask them for referrals? I mean, not but for testimonials or that kind of a thing, or do you just, you go with that what you have so far and that gut instinct, and let's give them a try and see if they do the job, or how do you handle that?
Well, like so many things, it kind of depends. If they come to me with a good reference from somebody that I know and trust, I won't do all that. But if they say they're a CPA, I'm going to go verify that. I'll go to
Yeah.
the state CPA board in the state they're in so that I can verify that.
Right.
And if they say they've done tax returns, I'm like, okay, tell me how many you've done, per year for the last 3 years. Do you get them done on time? Have you had a lot go through audits? What's been your success rate when you've had audits done, et cetera? So I'll want to make sure that I understand their process too.
I like that. I like that. Joey, anything to add to that?
No.
No? Okay. Have either of you ever had a collaborative relationship that went south, that didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out? And if so, how did you handle that? They're thinking, folks.
I've been looking toward the relationships I've had. None of them have completely fallen apart. Um, I have had I've had one collaborator, where we were missing deadlines. We were missing deadlines because of what was happening on their end. A lot of it wasn't their fault. A lot of it was, IT technical related. But having that critical conversation, like, hey, is this something, this is something that's going to keep going on? What's happening under the hood? Can you not handle capacity? Can you not handle, the workload? Is it a little bit too complex for you? And whatnot. Turned out that, they had a lot of technical difficulties, and they were understaffed, and they had not let me know.
Did you terminate that relationship, or that collaboration, or did you continue with new rules and guidelines in place, or what did you do? What was the outcome of that?
No, I did not terminate the relationship because I have been collaborating with them for quite a while.
Okay.
For quite a while. So it was about
So
2 years.
history is important.
Yeah, up to that point, it was like 2 years.
Okay.
And when that happened, I just gave them the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's a one-off. It's never happened before. Um, you know, let's go another round. We're already used to. We already have a lot of rapport. We know our needs, and we know the kind of client that we serve.
Right.
And so, it was a one-off. And me, I like to give the benefit of the doubt. Just once, but if it happens again, that's when other measures are taken.
Right. Right.
But yeah, the mistake. Well, we went on, just had a little bit more communication, opened up more communication, and then yeah, relationship's been going ever since, actually.
So, Andrew, any further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had a situation early in my fractional CFO career where I went in with another person to work on a client. It was actually his client, but he needed some help with it. And after working with him and the client for about a month, I approached the client with some questions about what I saw in their financial records. And he told me, don't worry about it. So I went back to the guy I was working with and I said, you know what? I can't work with this client if he's going to take that attitude, because I
Right.
was questioning some of the entries that I kept seeing. And, that was the end of that collaboration, because, I wasn't going down that road.
Right. And so the collaborative partner was not willing to take that up with that client and
I
step up to
think
the
he
plate
did after the fact,
after the
but
fact.
he had no idea that this was going on, because
Ah,
he hadn't looked into the details and under the hood
gotcha.
as much as I had.
Understood. Yeah. So it's really important then, would you agree that it's really important that we have guidelines in place for these relationships, for these collaborations? What's expected on both sides? What a successful collaboration will look like.
Yeah, we
So,
need to define what success looks like in that
yeah,
collaborative effort.
yeah, I totally agree. So let's spin this a little bit. Let's twist this a little bit, and let's talk about how you collaborate with your clients. What collaboration looks like between you and your clients? Because I think you'll agree with me that there is a level of collaboration that has to occur for that successful client relationship to take place, right? And for you to be able to provide the value that you want to provide. So what are some of the elements of what a good successful collaboration with a client looks like?
I think some of the key ingredients, and a lot of that happens, some of the key ingredients, and some of it happens, in the beginning of the relationship, when you've made the sale, and then, when you're offering, making the services, and then when you're reviewing the results, at the end. Um,
Right?
for me, while getting to know the client, qualifying, making a sale, that's when, a lot of the trust and rapport is built up. Um,
Right.
during the rendering of the services, a lot of certainty needs to happen, in that place. And then at the end result that needs to happen is satisfaction. And so you
Mm.
need to have rapport, trust, certainty in what everybody is doing, why they're doing it, and then satisfaction at the end. Now that's what a successful, well-satisfied client looks to me.
Very good. Andrew?
Yeah, I like to let my clients know that I'm not just the guy that looks at the financials for them. I'm there to help them out and connect them with other professionals they may need. It's not just a fact of I'm going to go over their P&L and their balance sheet and cash flow statement with them. If they have other needs like reviewing their sales, we'll jump in that together. If they need a new insurance carrier, I can help them with that. I'm working with a client now. We brought in a sales expert to help them set up sales program because they really don't have one. So I work collaboratively with my clients to make sure that they have other disciplines taken care of too that they don't necessarily have in-house, or to strengthen those disciplines if they do.
Excellent. I love that. Love that answer. So, what advice would you each give to someone maybe who hasn't stepped into this collaborative arena? They've really been kind of going it on their own and trying to do everything, um, trying to accomplish everything without the benefit of collaborations. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, just like I said before, collaboration is critical. It's absolutely critical, and especially if you're on the financial side, like we are, because collaborating with folks like us and other financial advisors, um, and other tax professionals, really building out your army, can lead to the development of the most optimized financial strategies. And that's including cost management, investment planning, cash flow management, and it really tightens up the risk mitigation factor as well. And that's the bread and butter of what we do. And so collaboration is critical, and we all have had to dive into because you meet so many great folks that are great at so many things. It's really enriching because you're learning almost every day. You're learning on almost every call. And then most of all, it makes you an overall better professional. And so my advice would be is just to dive right into it.
Awesome. Andrew?
Yeah, I think we're like some of the business owners that don't know what they don't know, or they think they can do it all. They need to have good professional partners. We do too. If I have clients that may need lending services, I need to be able to offer them. Well, I know these three bankers, and I'll be happy to give you an introduction to them. So I need to have good professional partners that can help my clients be successful, because there's a lot I can do for them, but there's a lot I can't.
Excellent. What has been the most rewarding, most successful collaboration that you've experienced so far?
I think the collaboration with the folks that work for me, the collaboration with my bookkeepers, my tax prep folks, my EA, those have been the most successful and rewarding because we've all known each other and been together for you know upward of 5 years. Um, and so having to work with good folks on every single project, that's been a pretty substantial and valuable collaboration, that I've made. And then also, a couple of colleagues in the manufacturing industry that do exactly what I do have been great collaborators because, or there've been a few projects where I've needed help with some of the standard costing, and I was able to pick up the phone and ask for some advice on certain situations. And so meeting people along the way, and some of those collaborations, they can go on for years, and those are some of my best ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And goes back to something we mentioned, I think, in the beginning about those relationships, that they just get deeper and deeper, don't they? I love that you also mentioned staff in there, the people that you work with, that you need to collaborate with them as well. Andrew, your thoughts?
Well, one thing that I don't do, or I guess I should probably say I didn't do until recently, is work with publicly owned companies. I've always worked with privately owned companies, but I got into an arrangement with a colleague of mine a few months back to help a publicly owned company down in Florida help get their SEC filings up to date. So I've been working with him, been working with the chief operating officer at the company and with the company's bookkeeper, who I kept telling them he is not a bookkeeper, he is an accountant. He is way better than just a bookkeeper. So quit calling him a bookkeeper. So between all of us, we're within 1/4 of getting all of their SEC filings up to date, and they were a good year and a half behind.
Oh,
And
wow.
what that means to the company is if their SEC filings are up to date, then they can get relisted on the NASDAQ to sell their stock to the public, which is a big goal of theirs. And they want to have another public offering to raise more money for what they're trying to do. And I get that. But yeah, that's probably my biggest success, particularly recently.
Excellent. What's that feel like when you're in something like that, where it's successful and you know that you're making a difference, and together you're this collaborative team is really making a difference? What's the feeling from that?
Well, it feels great to me because I can see that the company, the ownership of the company, it's really helping them drive forward at a quicker pace than they were when I initially started with them, because they were really weighed down and concerned about getting these done. But now that we're really close to getting everything done and caught up, they're full steam ahead on doing what they need to do.
Awesome. Joey, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, when a collaboration goes well, you definitely feel a lot more confident. You definitely feel a lot more confident, and so that's what it feels like to me. You just feel, a lot more confident that you can tackle more things going forward,
Right.
and that you have a new experience under your belt.
Yes. I love that. Excellent. Well, gentlemen, this has been great. You've given me some ways to think about collaboration that I hadn't thought about. And hopefully you've given our listeners some insights, some new thoughts and ideas about how they can be more successful collaborating and help others be more successful through collaboration. One of my favorite things is, for me, being part of the ripple effect. When we, like Andrew, you're making a difference in this company on these SEC filings. Now that company is going to be able to go out and have a bigger impact in the world, right? And
Right.
wouldn't have happened without the work that you're doing. And that's being part of that ripple effect. As we make a difference in one person or one company, then as they move out and change, make differences in the world, improve the world, then you're part of that ripple effect. And to me, there's just nothing more exciting than being part of that ripple effect. I love it. Because we know that we are improving the world, we're making a difference. And you gentlemen are
Right.
obviously out there making a difference. So thank you for doing that. So, Joey, let us move into our wrap-up round. So would you please run the wrap-up round for me? And both of you in this, Joey, you guide it, but both of you share your final thoughts on collaboration and your contact information. Okay, Joey?
Yeah, but collaboration is essential to all professionals, especially all professionals that are, offering the services, that we offer, which is in the financial, the accounting, the tax, the compliance, the whole back office. All of that field requires a lot of collaboration. And I really felt Andrew's happiness when he talked about his company with the SEC filings, because SOX implementations are no joke. Are absolutely no joke, and it falls into the accounting side because of the segregation of duties and the controls there, and then also the governmental compliance. It's all very tedious and very tough. And the more collaboration you have, the more expertise that you're going to gain, and the better that the better the client is going to be better off and receive the services that they deserve, because they're at the end paying us their hard-earned money. At Comanche CFO and Advisory, we tailored specifically to the client's needs. what if it's, one entity, multi-entities, pre-revenue, post-revenue, we tailor to the client.
Right.
You can reach me at www.comanche-group.com. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Very good. And then Joey, would you have Andrew share his as well?
Oh yes, and this is my good friend Andrew. Want to thank him very much for joining us today and sharing his very valuable insight. And Andrew, please let us know where we can reach you and your thoughts on collaboration.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. It's like I've said for years, it never hurts to have a conversation. So even if you just get a little nugget of information from a conversation with someone, you're better off than you were. It could be a huge, big thing, but just a little nugget. I think working together, either inside a company or with someone external to help get things done is really critical, because there's a lot of good people out there with a lot of good information they can share. And I got into this work, basically I got downsized for the second time in my career, and I'm like, okay, no more of this. So I decided it was time to go do something different. So yes, I can make a good bit of money doing this, but in the process, I get to help companies. And when I get to help companies, I get to help people. And when I get to help people, I get to help families. And those are all important things to me. You can get in touch with me. My website, aetuckerconsulting.com. I also am on LinkedIn. I'm not on Facebook. My email address is andrew@aetuckerconsulting.com. And you can reach me by phone at 704-651-2216.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being here today. I as I said, you've definitely contributed to my thoughts on collaboration and given me some new insights, and I hope that's true for our listening audience as well. So, folks, we will see. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time on Collaboration Conversations. Bye for now.